Hi, my name is Pam, and I'm an energy healer, author, and coach. And today we are going to talk about the everyday symptoms that show that your energy may be blocked in some way, or you may be feeling overwhelmed because of too many connections plugged into your energy. And those connections are like, when you think of somebody negatively or positively, or they think of you, you form a connection. And there are cords that attach to your energy from their energy. So it's like if you were to plug in too many sort of plugs into an outlet, eventually it's going to burn out. So, how to clear that, how to recognize that you have too many connections that you need to unplug, and what to do. So, just basic steps to take and uh, to release that and to free up your energy.
Okay,
That's what we're going to talk about.
perfect. So you already explained what is burnout, um, from an energy perspective. So I assume that definition of burnout from an energy perspective, it applies to burnout in any situation, whether it be at home or at work or anywhere. So if you can maybe just talk a little bit about that, and also how do we resolve burnout?
So yes, burnout, it can be at home. It can, because think of this, you are one unit with different facets. So you are an individual, and you are an employee, you are a mother, a daughter, a wife, or even a single person just navigating life. But in all of that, the different aspects, some of those may be more demanding because you're dealing with other people and you're picking up their energies. Whenever you're around people, I mean, think of it like sometimes you think of somebody, and that day or next day they call you. So energy connects you even though you don't recognize it. You go to the mall, and you left very happy from home and full of energy, but the moment you get in the mall, there are people around, and suddenly you're feeling drained because people are drawing on your energy, and you are drawing on possibly their negative energies. So how to protect yourself? You can first of all, you can put shields around yourself. Just picture your energy and put yourself in a vortex. So with the intention is very important here. With the intention that whatever energy does not belong to you just, goes down the vortex and goes into Mother Earth to be recycled. And then, that would naturally happen. The other thing is, when you're at work for 8 hours a day and you're dealing with people and you're talking to them, and also those form connections, form the cords that attach to you. So you can uh, picture, like, your arm as uh, almost like as an energetic sword. Like, bring in the white light and let it flow through your arm and cut the cords, and just swipe and put them and send them to Mother Earth. You're visualizing all of this, or you're just thinking that this is what you're doing. Sometimes you don't even have to do the physical action, because if you close your eyes, you sit for a few minutes, and you imagine that this is what you're doing, then you don't need to be physically necessarily moving your hands. So either one will work, but the intention, again, I specify, is the key point here. Um, this, uh, not that the cords won't keep attaching, they will, because we are, dynamic beings, and we're not static. So we, keep incurring more connections. But we need to periodically clear that out. And you can do that once a day, twice a day, depends on how often you feel overwhelmed. Sometimes when you're in the presence of somebody who is a very negative person, you just feel yourself, your energy shrinking, or just reacting to that, because you're sensing it. It's not anything physical or anything that you can see, and you're wondering, I mean, but that's what's happening. And once you know and recognize that, you can kind of take care of it so you don't get to a point where you burn out. Um, but if you have reached that point, again, there's still hope. I mean, you can do it a little bit at a time and you'll start noticing a difference. Now, the other key point is whatever you remove must be replaced, because if it creates a vacuum, anything that's around will flow in. So once you remove the negative connections, the negative energy, the negative cords, bring in the white light, the positive energy, and let it flow through. So picture that flowing through and filling up the spaces that have been left empty when you remove those energies.
That is very detailed and helpful. So you said something earlier. You said that when you are around negative people, you might feel drained and you'll feel that energy kind of like draining within you. I noticed that sometimes that doesn't only happen with people, but maybe in places, maybe in different places
Yes.
also. So is it the same kind of principle? You would just protect your energy going to, or imagine you being protected by a vortex and maintaining that on a, like you say, twice a day or something like that.
Yeah, however often you need it, because sometimes when you're in places have energies. Uh, I remember, oh my God, this freaked me out. This was years before I learned about energy healing. Uh, my husband and I had gone to pick up a car that he purchased from some family, because there had been a death in the family, and the person who owned that car, had died. So the family was selling the car. And uh, we went there. I walked in and I felt physically sick, because the energy there, not only because of the death and grief, but just within the family itself, the energy was so dense and so low vibrationally that I couldn't stay in there for too long. I just walked out, and I told my husband, I said, I'm going to wait in the car. You talk to them. Um, so, you can be sensitive and you can be an empath once you understand what is happening. And, then you can kind of deal with that. And so places, because people have been there, you know, they hold their energy. So you need to be aware, like if you're in a place where there is dense vibrational energy or something very negative, then you do need to put maybe a double shield. Sometimes even it depends on how strongly you feel it. There are people who've kind of, have expanded their aura, or their energies are so positive that they exude good energy. Um, so they may be less susceptible to that negative energy. But then there are others who are empaths and they pick up everything that's around them. So they may need to clear their negative energies more frequently, and put shields, like more, maybe double up, or whatever. And it's very flexible. Yeah, the fun thing is, once you understand how energy works, just have fun with it. And there is And it's all up to you because nobody can come in your space without your permission. So when you set the parameters, when you set the boundaries, then uh, but sometimes if you have doubt or if you think, it sounds woo-woo and, I don't know if I believe in that, or, you're not really sure. So obviously you're not going in it like with your full energy, and that is going to affect that. So some people will say, "Oh, it didn't work for me. I tried that," but then ask yourself, did I really, you know, put that energy? Because energy has intelligence, and it is definitely how you need to kind of understand it, that it has an intelligence of its own. And when you're directing it to do something, but you yourself are not sure whether you believe it in it or not, it's picking up that energy as well, your energy of doubt or a little bit of fear if there is fear. So being aware of not only, other people's negative energy, but what you are putting out and what you are feeding, what you are sort of sending out. So, but it definitely works. And, you can try it and you'll be amazed at how quickly things start to fall in place once your mind moves out and your heart space takes over, because energy work is like esoteric work. No, mind is very useful. The ego is very useful. The purpose of the mind and the ego is to protect yourself and to say, okay, the last time we did this, this happened. So, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to tell you not to do that. And so it's going to interfere. But once you understand that and you can talk to your mind and say, you're doing a great job, but this is what I need to do to protect myself. So they can work in combination, they can work together in collaboration, but the heart needs to be your spirit, your soul needs to be a little bit more in charge than the ego or the mind, because this is a tool. The mind is a tool that your uh, your spirit, your energy, the essence of who you are, the totality of who you are, is obviously greater than a part of you. So, keeping that in mind, we're not going to negate the mind altogether because it's serving a very useful function. But how to make it work with energy and to understand it, I mean, that's the key point.
Yes. And as you were explaining, it's like I'm imagining, because it's not often that, people who don't work with energy or energy healing, we don't think of energy or our energy even as an intelligent kind of, I want to use the word conscious
Hmm.
thing, right? We
Yeah, yeah.
we just aware mostly of our physical bodies because we can see it.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like if you go outside and it's cold, you'll protect your body by wearing warmer clothing. And so you need to protect your energy body as well when you're dealing with people or going into certain places or doing things that are going to affect your energy. And so I think it's helpful to think of it that way often by doing practices daily that
Hmm.
reminds you of that, because it does make a difference. And I know from my own personal experience as well, when I do have intentions, and it's not necessarily um daily things that I do, but when I do set an intention to kind of be more protective of my energy, I can feel it be preserved. I don't feel as drained, I don't feel as tired, I have more literally more energy. And then on other times when I don't do that, I get annoyed. I'm, easily, triggered by things. And it's more of an emotional. kind of responses that I have. Yes, I lose energy and I do get tired, but the emotional responses are more, what stands out to me. And so I wanted to know about emotional overload. What is that from an energy healing perspective? And how do we preserve our emotional energy?
Um, okay, think of your body as your house. When you are in the house, that's your space. But when you're in the kitchen, you're in a different mindset than when you're in the bedroom or in the living room or in the garage. They all serve a function, but they're all part of a whole. Similarly, in your body, there's a physical body, there's the emotional body, there's the mental body, and the energetic body. So, all of those in our daily life, with the things, the events that happen, the energies that we pick up from others, all of those we kind of absorb. So, if you're putting the shields around yourself and you are sort of keeping the negative energies out, but you're feeling a little vulnerable because, we are human. And just because we are trying to study the energetic field or our spiritual selves doesn't mean we become infallible to the human experience. The human part of us also steps in. So if you're emotionally upset, let's say you get some bad news, somebody in the family is sick or they've passed, you obviously, somebody very dear to you, so you are emotionally vulnerable at that point. That's when every other negative energy starts to surround you and picks up because you are not fully conscious of like protecting your energy at that point. So to protect yourself emotionally, give yourself time to grieve. Don't suppress the emotion, but learn you can't sort of kill your emotions. You can't remove your emotions. What you have to learn is to manage your emotions. Allow yourself to grieve, allow yourself to feel sad. That's okay. But we are so busy trying to be happy all the time, or, just we don't want to deal with what we look at as negative emotions, but what are like a release. So, when they have these dams and there's water, a lot of rainfall, they have to release some of the water flow or it's going to overflow and cause devastation behind where the dam is. So don't build up such dams emotionally and refuse to face those emotions. It's uncomfortable for a little bit, but it also releases the excess energy and you feel, I'm sure, people can relate to, when they've had a really good cry, how light they feel and how much better they feel. Um, but you can kind of keep building up and keep holding it in until we explode, and you don't want to get to that point. Um, it can be like emotional or mental, and that is why there's um, a lot of like when people have been holding on to trauma, they suppress it and they think, okay, we're done. They suppress it, goes in the unconscious, they don't think about it, they don't consciously remember it, but it's there. It hasn't left your conscious, subconscious, or your unconscious mind. It's like, and then okay, one of the fears is, oh, you don't want people to know something about yourself, or you don't want people to know how whether you messed up or whatever you are, you're trying to cover that and hide it. But when you plant seeds, even if nobody sees what seeds you're planting, once they sprout and they grow, people will know. You see? So whatever you bury inside, once it starts to ferment or to grow, it'll create a stink in you. Or if it's growing, people will know what's happening. So it is important to release those constructively and consciously, a little bit at a time, so it's not too uncomfortable. And if it does get uncomfortable, remind yourself that this is part of the growth. Think of when a seed is breaking open. I mean, how much pain it must go through to break open, first of all, the seed itself, to grow, to absorb the nutrition from around itself, and then to push through that earth. And it is so soft and gentle, but it still manages to push itself through the earth. So when something that we are suppressing, it's so deep that we consciously don't remember, but it starts to kind of what I'm trying to say is when it starts to grow, it starts to take on a life form of itself. And then everybody around you knows what it is. So if you take charge instead of hiding from it and manage it constructively, then you're at a point like you have that strength because you're looking at uh, yeah, another example that comes to mind is, okay, let's say you have walls built around you and you are protected and you're not letting anybody in, but there's one little hole in the wall that leaves you vulnerable, but you don't want to deal with it because, oh, it's only a small hole, or uh, the weaknesses that we have, things that we don't want to deal with. So we look at it as weakness and say, oh, I don't want to deal with it. In that case, you're leaving yourself vulnerable and open to um, any kind of attack or people entering through that hole. But if you focus on it, say, okay, this is my weak point, and you kind of, until you're able to repair that, you put some protective processes or some, like protector, maybe some guard there or somebody to protect that, then you are being proactive and also protecting yourself better. When, like somebody asked me one time, they said, how can you be so confident? And I thought about it and I realized that I don't hide from my weaknesses. If I have a weakness, then I acknowledge it to myself. I don't have to go around telling the world, but I acknowledge it to myself and I know that it's okay. I don't beat myself up for it. We're human. We have our positive and negative. We have good and bad, and we mess up, you know. But once you acknowledge that, then you're not trying to hide your weakness to show yourself as a very strong person or perfectly sort of put together person. But then nobody can point a finger at you and point out your weaknesses and bring you down emotionally or mentally because you already know that. So when somebody tells me, he says, oh, yeah, but you're not so perfect yourself. Yeah, I know. And that's okay, you know. But if we are trying to hide from that, then the moment somebody points out, shoot, they know what that my weakness is, and then you're justifying that, you're getting defensive, and you are putting in so much energy into doing that, that you sort of start feeling more vulnerable and weaker. You get weaker because you're putting your energy in the wrong place. So it's very important to know yourself and understand yourself. Um, all this that I'm saying is kind of easy to comprehend, but not so easy to do. and it's okay. I mean, take your time once you understand and you understand how it works and how it helps you and how energy helps you release the excess negative energies and how energy work kind of, digs deep on things you may be holding on to. And as they start to surface, deal with it rather than suppressing it again. So, oh, I thought I was done with that. Oh my God, I didn't know I was still holding on to that. And all of that, that kind of then clears off. And again, like in my book, I've given an example of how long it takes is like, if it's something new, like, you take 2 cups, one has sand in it and the other has caked mud in it. You put the container with the sand in it under water, running water, and it'll, quickly wash out. The sand washes out with it and just run enough water there and it'll wash out. The other one with the caked mud is going to take a lot longer because first it has to soften the mud and then it has to kind of start working with that. The sand is loose, it's not solidified yet. This one is solidified, so it's going to take a lot longer. So if we've been pushing things into our psyche and just, negative things that we hear or people say about us or how we feel about what they said, keep holding on to it, the blocks start to form and they solidify. So it's going to take a little longer. And if you're now at a point where you're done with that because you can't take it anymore, want to kind of get rid of it, then be prepared to put in the time and the emotions, the efforts to do the work. And as it starts to surface, don't suppress it again. Work through it. There may be purgings, there may be physical purgings, just emotional or mental. Because a lot of people, in our class that we see, not everybody has the same response. I mean, some of them will be very weepy or they'll feel very tired. It's all part of the process of getting rid of it. Like if you get the flu, I mean, you can't really do anything. You can keep taking pills to suppress the symptoms and keep going to work because, oh my God, I can't stop working. I have to do this. But at some point, you have to allow your body to heal. You have to allow this time so it can kind of get rid of those, the bacteria or virus, whatever is in your body at this point. So it's a little complicated process in the sense that there's so many variables, but it is so worth the time and effort. And I've been doing like, been following these spiritual pursuits and doing some work on self development for a very long time. But with the energy healing, it took me to such deep levels and emotionally, mentally, spiritually, so much is being cleared, so much has been cleared that I realized that before what I was doing was just skimming the surface, just daily like house cleaning, dusting and this thing, this. But this was deep cleaning. So energy work, I find, is works differently and takes you. But then what it does is gets to the root. What we were doing before was just, the fruit, picking the fruit, okay, or treating the branches. But with energy work, got to the root of the problem. So that's cleared out. And once you get to the root, then it can't grow anymore because you remove that. So while all different modalities have value, and it depends on where you are, what you're ready to deal with now, how you feel comfortable, and it's all a choice and it's all valid. just honor what you're doing, what you feel comfortable with. But uh, in my opinion and my experience, I found that the energy work, because the level it addresses the issues at and how much it kind of the space that it opens up for you is phenomenal. It's just it's like a whole another level of sort of just I mean it has to be experienced. That's all I
Yes.
can say. So
Thank you. Yeah, that's
yeah,
wonderful. And you've given us a lot to think about, and you've given a lot of good processes that we can all put into practice and use and see results from, which is also energy work, but on yourself, you know? So there's different
mm,
levels, like you were saying, and there's different ways. And the next time I see you, we'll be going deeper into, what actually happens in an energy healing session and what to expect and things like that. So then we can, discuss a little bit deeper about that. But
yeah, and
yeah,
also like I say, with this program we learn, and this is something very sort of strongly emphasized. We heal ourselves, we heal others, and we heal the world. Because if I don't heal myself, the energy work I'm doing on somebody else is bringing in my negative energy as well. So I need to start with myself. And a few times it happened where, when we were doing our practice sessions, I talked to some people and they called me. They said, "Oh, my daughter could use this." I said, because they were having trouble, some problems with their daughter. So I said, "I'm talking to you. You've approached me. Let's start with you because you have to do that." I never heard from them again because a lot of us are willing to, find people who we think need help, but we don't think of ourselves as needing the help.
yeah,
So this is why it's very sort of important that we heal ourselves first, because when we change, when we shift, then the other people around us are reacting to the new energy that we've
yes,
brought in.
yes.
So their response is different.
Yes,
Okay.
100%. So thank you again so much, Pam. I really enjoy learning about energy healing with you, and I look forward to discussing more details about what actually happens in a session next week. So thank you so much,
Okay.
and we'll
So
speak soon.